Welcome everybody to the Scott County Lady Cards Coaches Show with Coach Steve Helton and special guest Morgan DeFoor, and we're here to talk about the week that was, and it was a pretty good week for the Lady Cards. Some big wins, some big road wins, and stayed undefeated, which is always a nice thing.
Really excited where we're at. 6-0 into the season, and it's early, so we really don't want to get too high, but really pleased with our effort. We had our first true road game, about an hour and a half drive down to Laurel County, back where old stomping grounds of where we used to hang out, and big rivals between Corbin and Laurel County. Now it's North Laurel, but great second half performance down there, and to be able to get where we're at this early in December, I'm very pleased.
That was an intense first half. I mean, Morgan, from your perspective, I think the score was 48-44. It just seemed like both teams were saying, can you top this? And the other team would say, yeah, we can do that. There was just not a lot of defense being played on the surface. But what was the story? Just good shooting? Or?
Well, I think our defense was a little slow, but on the offensive side, we were getting things done, kind of. We were shooting well, but yeah, mostly on the defense, we were slow to rebound too. Yeah. We didn't really rebound very well.
That, I think, was your perception too, wasn't it? From talking to you Monday night, just not necessarily happy with the rebounding.
It was tell of two halves. Maybe it was an hour and a half drive. We were sluggish early on. Defensively, our hands weren't moving. We were not, first of the ball quick as we usually are. Second half came out, and really one big run, and the whole complex of the game just changed. We allowed 4 points in the third quarter, which was incredible. Kept the pressure on in the fourth quarter, and great second effort, great second half, because they were challenged at halftime. They were challenged, and they stepped up just like we expect. They're very talented. This is a very talented team. Offensively, we're a little ahead of where I really thought we would be. Defensively, we're improving.
When he says you were challenged as a player, I mean, were you challenged? He talked a little bit about his halftime speeches. The first couple of games maybe weren't what they needed to be because the third quarter was sluggish, but it seemed like you guys came out of the locker room pretty fired up in that game.
I think that was the most challenged I've ever been because it was a close game, because usually we come off in the first quarter a big run at first, but they actually kept close. But the third half, we just came out the gates like we should have the first half and had a couple runs.
Coach, tell me about your defense a little bit that night, because it seemed like it was almost like you had to slow down to go faster a little bit. You were pressing and trapping, and you stopped doing that. You kind of just sat back and stared them down a little bit and waited for them to make a mistake, and they did.
I wish I could tell you. I'm really, I'm like a fish out of water right now. We are 6 games into the season, including 2 scrimmages, and we've played more zone in this 6-game stretch than probably in my entire career here. This is my 17th year, and I'm telling you, we have played more zone this year than we've ever played, and it really, this team's bought into it. This team is, it's fitting to them so far. Coach Wilson, he does all of our zone stuff.
You're not a zone guy.
I'm a firm believer in you surround yourself with people who are better than you. And our staff, that's what we do. I believe in man-to-man, run and jump, backside numbers. We're coming to get you. And there's a couple of reasons why we kind of had to back off that a little bit. Second half, North Laurel, we backed out the press because it felt like early on they got some easy runs. But again, when you press like we do, we're going to give some layups up. It does give them that false confidence that they can run with us. And I really think North Laurel came out thinking they were going to run with us. And second half, I thought our conditioning looked incredible. We did back out the press, and I think a couple possessions, they were looking around expecting the press. And, great point. Sometimes you have to slow down to play fast. Mm-hmm. And I thought our kids were really active in a half court. We really got some great deflection. Morgan got on the break. several times. You know, she's on the point of that, and we know if Peyton or Malia makes a play on a deflection, she's gone. And you know, because she finishes so well at the rim. And just a great team effort. Again, that third quarter, I don't think we subbed that third quarter. And really got going. Our transition game got going from half-court defense. So very pleased.
Morgan, as a player, having to kind of, it sounds like you have to manage to play a lot of different types of defense in this system, depending on the situation. You're not going to be a man-to-man team all the time, a zone team all the time. Is that nerve-wracking as a player to have to mix that up, or is it just something that you know that you've practiced and you're confident?
We've practiced it. I really like it because it gets the other team, like, they don't see it come in, and I like switching it up because our press, we really, like, in the front, we can really get deflections, and the back moves, like, Lauren Bean can get a lot of steals when they try to cross-court and stuff like that.
You talk about deflections a lot, and there's certain players on your team, I can look out there, and you would expect them to deflect the ball because maybe they're 5'9", 5'10", they're rangy. Morgan gets as many deflections as anyone, and looking at her on the surface, you wouldn't necessarily think that, but what is it about her game that just makes that happen?
Morgan has what so many players don't have in today's game. She has natural instincts. And I've told her this young lady, good Lord willing, she stays healthy, could be one of the best players to ever walk out of Scott County High School. You know, I've went as far as to, we added the number 1 to our uniforms because I think she's that good. And it's not, you know, we can do drills, we can shoot, we can do all that. It's because she has natural instincts. Mm-hmm. I'm just not a person who thinks you can teach natural instincts. She knows when that ball is being rotated, more than likely where that next pass is. Now, does she get out of position sometimes? Yes. But sometimes the offense just makes a good play. Mm-hmm. She knows where that ball is going to go that next play. Offensively, she sees that next pass ahead. Sometimes she'll turn the ball over. And there's been a couple times this year I've told her, said, listen, I seen what you seen. It was the right play. It just didn't get to the right person at the right time they weren't expecting. She has those natural instincts. You know, and I know some people call it that it factor. Morgan DeFoor has that it factor.
A lot of coaches would be nervous about saying those kind of things about someone who's still a 9th grader, but we've talked about it before. In your system, that's someone who's already been here, familiar with it for 2-3 years, and you're pretty comfortable with her in any situation, I would think.
The point guard position and the 4 position, the rim runner, are the 2 most difficult positions on the floor for us. Morgan and I have to be able to communicate. At some point, I want Morgan to take this team. She's already been around me. Her sister played for us for 6 years. Morgan was in the gym with Sis that whole time, you know, with Danielle. She knows what to expect. She knows that playing that point guard position, there's a lot of pressure because not only are you handling the ball, not only are you running the offense, not only do you have to play defense, you have to deal with me a lot. and she knows that. But I'm just so excited to see her growth. In 6 games, Morgan has already moved from the player of, is this where I need to be, to this is where we're going to be. And, you know, she's going to get better and better. Again, good Lord willing, she stays healthy. She keeps working. She's a gym rat. She stays in the gym, you know. And you know, if anybody's going to take a half-court shot at the end of the game, or anybody's going to take that last second shot, Morgan wants to be the player who takes it. She, you know, sometimes I'm not for sure that's the shot we want, but give her credit. She wants to take that shot.
But you're the kind of coach that it seems like you don't mind people taking shots and having the confidence to take shots, and if they miss 4 or 5 in a row, they have the confidence they're going to make the 6th. You don't seem to mind effort, turnovers. You're accepting of the fact that there are going to be turnovers, and if you're hustling and making the effort, God bless them, right?
It's the way you got to play. You can't play looking over your shoulder. You can't play as fast as we want to play. We're going to make turnovers. Now, we do want to cut down some on the unforced turnovers, but you know, you miss a shot, got to have a short memory. You turn the ball over, got to have a short memory. What we can't have happen is when 1 turnover turns into 3 turnovers before you can even, you know, regroup and catch yourself. You just got to play, and being that point guard position, a lot of times you're the one taking the heat for somebody else. You know, somebody else be supposed to cut here, and Morgan will make that pass, and they're supposed to be there. And, you know, to the outside eye, everybody's looking around saying, well, why did she pass that? Well, it wasn't all her fault because there was a two-way street there. So, again, we want the kid to play. You know, we don't want to run a lot of sets. I tell Morgan, our philosophy is that she's sitting over there looking at me for call sets. We're not in a good situation. You know, now obviously there are times when we got to run our sets, and we're getting to the point where now in the huddle, the communication is, you know, Morgan's doing a great job. Hey, what about this? And that's what a point guard is supposed to do. I want our point guards to be that floor general. I don't want to be the puppet master. That's not where I want to be. I want these kids to go. I want to have fun.
He talked about your family tradition. How young were you when you can remember, okay, I want to be a lady guard. I want to be part of this. I mean, it had to be at a pretty young age.
I think it was around first grade. When I was in first grade, my sister had been playing. She started in sixth grade, so I was always around her and around the team with her because I came to like every game in practice.
And it sounds like you remember that too.
From fast break camp, I mean, she was coming to camps, and everybody talking about, who's this little redhead girl? Who's this little redhead girl? She's already talking smack, and she's first, second grade. Who is this little girl? And, you know, and as a time, you know how long you could be to play, you know, coaching wise, and to see her come from, you know, the fast break camps when she's little bitty to now, she's running the team for us. You know, it makes me feel old, though. It makes me feel old. But, you know, it's incredible to see how her family, and to see Danielle. Danielle came back for an alumni game over Thanksgiving break, and to get to see them, you know, play together and laugh and joke. You know, it's a great experience.
I mean, this people talk about programs like this being family anyway, but that makes it, and that's kind of a double whammy of family because you get the team aspect, and then you're coaching girls who've had sisters on the team, or maybe as far back as having brothers on the team when you were with that program. Even you see a lot of ties, I imagine, in a program like this.
And I told Dee, I told her mom, we went to our parent meeting this past year. I said, well, you know, some of you, this is the first time you ever heard this. And for some of you, it's probably the 8th or 9th time you've heard this between, you know, by the time it goes through the family. And that's the truth. You know, to see these kids grow up, they know what it means, you know, to wear that Scott Canyon jersey. You know, Danielle was here when we had a lot of success. You know, and Morgan, you know, was in that beginning stages coming through middle school where she was having success. Now she's looking around saying, this is my team now. Even though she's a freshman, again, she's got 3 years under her belt already. And you could tell she's getting better. She's getting more comfortable. I think she's getting more comfortable. And vice versa. I'm feeling more comfortable with her out there, and I'm trusting. And it's that trust that between the coach and the point guard, you know, hey, I understand when you make that turnover, I got to learn how to coach you better. I got to learn how to say, hey, play the next play. And I just can't say enough good things about Morgan.
We talked a lot about the North Laurel game. Let's look back quickly at the other two games. And then within this week, you won at Henry Clay in a big district game, and then came back the next night and stopped or contained a very good scorer in Emmy Harris from Will County.
District game Thursday night, Lexington, short road trip, but again on their home floor. Very athletic. You know, I'll go to say they're more athletic than we are. And I really thought that we came out, take out the first 2 minutes of the game, and once we settled down, I thought we came out and played really well. They made a great run at the end, in which well-coached teams do. They never quit. Eric does an incredible job. They made a run at the end. You know, it was a 20-point game. You know, they hit a couple threes late, made the score look a little more closer than it was throughout the game. Then you bounce back. So it was a test for a new team to see big district win. We celebrated. Now we got to come back home court against the number one scorer in the state at the time. You know, Emmy was averaging 31 a game coming into our game. Granted, it was only 2-3 games into it, but it's a lot of points to be thrown up. And again, kind of a little sluggish start. We make a couple big runs, running clock, and you know, it's been a while since we've put up 96, 94, 98, back to back to back. And, we're starting to get the, when you going to break 100?
It's hard to do with a running clock. Probably would have happened the other night if not for that.
That's that wheel of life, though. If it happens, it happens. You're definitely not going to get it. You're definitely not going to tell a kid not to shoot. But, you can leave the starters in there a little bit longer. But again, that's not what it's all about. We're here. We do it. We try to do it the right way.
Morgan, how important to get those first couple of district wins under your belt? That's kind of good to have in the bank going throughout the season, isn't it? I mean, to know that you're putting yourself in a good spot down the road.
I think it's a pretty big one because it was on our home court, which is a big difference. And last year they beat us pretty good. So I think we just wanted to get back, and it's always good to be up there in the district.
Got a big road trip on Friday night. Mercy, what do they bring to the table? And I guess this is the last game in the state of Kentucky in this year because you're going on the road, really on the road after that.
Mercy and Scott County have an incredible history, one another. Mark Evans was their coach, great friend. Now Keith Bosch, who was an assistant. We've battled. Scott County and Mercy have had some of the greatest games in Kentucky. We've had some of the most high-scoring games combined in the state of Kentucky when we'll go back to the record books. 2010, this is who we played in the state championship game. Mm-hmm. Great history there. Last year was their trip here. Got snowed out, and so we kind of flipped the script and returned the trip there as a favor to them. Very physical game. They're going to shoot the three. They're going to press. It's going to be a really fun game to play in. Coaching wise, it's going to be a very intense game. And it's just the way we play. Both teams, that's all we know. We get after one another. Mercy has incredible tradition. Then we're going to take a few days off, and kind of regroup as a coaching staff, as a team, see where we're at for the first 7 games because it's early, But now in our situation, that's about 25% of our schedule is complete. That's hard to believe. And then we're going to come back and have 4 really good days of practice right before the holidays, and then spend some time with our families because it's really important. We're very blessed, and I want these kids to have that time with their families. The coaches too. We talk about the kids. Our coaching staff spends a lot of time away from their family. I'm blessed that Tara and Colton get to hang out with me here in the gym. But then we're going to really get a test and see where we're at when we go down to Texas.
Well, we look forward to talking about that next week. We thank you, Coach. Thank you, Morgan, for being part of this show. Until next time, see you on the sideline.